bitch, don't get sarcastic.
Hey, don't call me a bitch. I'm
Bitch,
a bitch.
that's what I just said. Bitch. I don't like you, bitch. Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck
You know what?
too.
He don't know what color my mom is. There you go.
That's part of everyday life, man. At least once a day.
Welcome this morning, going back to my school.
Front desk. Well, I don't have it. I want to give you it on the same floor, so that's why just show him 517. He wants to see what the room is like. Yeah, I can understand. You know the Chelsea Hotel, don't you? You know.
It's the first time.
It's world famous, this hotel.
The Chelsea, like the people who live here, they're just all kind of wacky, and you know, they're just all originals. There's no normal people living here. You know, I mean, Debbie and I are about the most normal, and like everybody says, you know, what, we can't believe you live at the Chelsea Hotel. You know? Am I being
I think
too
I'm
hard
going
on
to be
you?
scoring down there by the camera.
Okay.
Ed Hamilton and Debbie Martin are bloggers.
Oh, you got me.
Finally scored from your back man.
Natives of Kentucky, for 12 years they've lived in a small room at the Chelsea Hotel with a foosball table.
My chief complaint with the room is Ed's foosball table. You know, we could have a couch if we didn't have a foosball table, but we have a foosball table. But it was such a dream, you can't let go of it that easily.
Despite tensions over Ed's table, the dream they shared was to live among the legends of this faded Victorian pile on Manhattan's 23rd Street. Apart from Leonard Cohen, a procession of writers, painters and performers has walked, stumbled and sometimes crawled along these corridors. Mark Twain, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, Arthur C. Clarke, Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin and Brett Whiteley. The list goes on and on. Dylan Thomas drank himself into an early grave here. Nancy, the girlfriend of Sex Pistol Sid Vicious, was murdered here. And on a cheerier note, Bill and Hillary Clinton named their daughter after a song Joni Mitchell wrote about staying here. As well as celebrating the Chelsea's legends, Ed and Debbie started their blog to campaign against gentrification of their neighbourhood and to urge the hotel's manager of more than 40 years not to sell out.
No discussion of the Chelsea would be complete without mentioning Stanley Bard, the dapper, genial older gentleman who stands behind the hotel's front desk, warmly greeting guests as he has seemingly forever.
All right, my man. He looks like he's all set to go. Good morning. Good morning. Could you put this in one day, 250 plus tax, 331? You could say you could actually love a building. That's the closest thing I could say. I do love this building. And more importantly, I love the people that live here and have been associated with the hotel.
What is it about the Chelsea that over so many years, over decades, has attracted artists?
Well, artists need a certain kind of environment to work, to create. And I guess the Chelsea has those things. It has the environment, it has the feeling, it has the tranquility. It has everything that an artist would want.
Over the years, Stanley Bard has taken hundreds of artists into his hotel, artists like composer Gerald Busby.
I was penniless for a while, and Stanley, the manager, moved me from a 4.5-room apartment to a studio, and said, now if you'll behave yourself and pay the rent, you can stay here and for the rest of your life. This place is very addictive. It's very hard to leave once you move in, and fortunately I've been able to stay.
Gerald has composed music for the renowned American director Robert Altman, and a concert was given at Carnegie Hall to mark his 70th birthday. He came to live at the Chelsea more than 30 years ago, at the behest of another acclaimed composer, Virgil Thompson. But after only 1 month, a fire nearly brought a quick end to his stay.
And we all ran to the window on the 10th floor, and people on the roof of the buildings behind us were saying, "Jump!" They wanted some spectacle. Well, anyway, we went down to see Virgil, and Virgil was dressed in his finest silk shirt and black pants and nice shiny shoes. I said, "Virgil, why are you so dressed up?" He says, "Well, I was hoping maybe some of those firemen might come up here, and I wanted to look my best."
The Chelsea may have been saved from fire, but according to Gerald and Ed, there are other forces now at work that could destroy the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think about it all the time because I see buildings getting torn down.
Oh, that.
You know.
Well, this monstrosity replaced some 19th century houses.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah, that's
the
not
very
very good.
thought
Is
of
it?
it.
Well, you don't see those kind of places too much these days, do you?
Ed Hamilton may seem mild-mannered, but he relishes using the words on his blog as bullets. And right now he's aiming them at people like Cindy Gallup, an advertising executive who lives directly across the road from the Chelsea in a multi-million-dollar condominium which was once home to the YMCA.
The place looks dark as a cave and completely unlivable. Cindy claims to have had a vision of this place while relaxing at her favorite watering hole in Shanghai. Too bad the Chinese didn't Shanghai her ass. Perhaps the most annoying feature of the apartment is the display of stilettos running along the living room wall. Part storage, part installation, Cindy says, and, I may add, a fairly shameless display of wealth.
When I see something that speaks to me, then I buy it. And that's really the case with everything in this apartment.
Which do you identify with, the mongoose or the cobra?
I probably really identify with the situation.
That's not answering the question.
Both. When I read Ed's rant about me on his blog, I could completely understand and empathize with it. And that may sound rather bizarre, but I could totally understand that if you were someone who'd lived in Chelsea a long time and loved the neighborhood, then A, you would be enormously sad that the Y had vacated such a fantastic landmark building, and B, you'd be pretty unhappy about the perceived set of yuppies who'd moved into it instead. And yup, you'd absolutely hate my guts.
Because he was pretty splenetic, wasn't he? I mean, he said in his blog, "Cindy doesn't care what I say or what anybody concerned about gentrification has to say. Kiss my rich ass." She is telling us all.
I love that bit. No, I mean, he was, he was pretty majorly venting.
Ed has eased off on Cindy since she invited him and a few other Chelsea residents around to discuss the changes to the neighbourhood. but he's still worried the hotel might suffer the same fate as the old Y.
Well, yeah, I mean there is that fear. I mean, we live in a special place where we have Stanley Bard who's looking after us to some extent and trying to keep the rents low on people, but he's got a lot of pressure from his board of directors to raise the rents because they're saying, well, we could be selling these condos for $10 million like they're doing across the street at the Y.
You must be under pressure from the shareholders in this hotel.
I'm constantly under pressure. You can't believe how much pressure. But so far, as long as I'm strong and healthy, I will continue to fight for my belief system and for the hotel.
Well, what do the shareholders want to do? Do they want to turn it into...
They always want shareholders. They always want to sell.
Back at Cindy's loft, there's pressure of a different kind.
Well, I mean, I've seen it already, through the plastic, so...
Last year, she commissioned an artist to paint a portrait of her and her boyfriend. Trouble is, the man astride the Ducati is no longer her boyfriend, and she's now not sure she wants to keep the painting.
So this was intended to be ironically self-referential. And now I'm wondering if the irony comes through or not.
Why does it have to be ironic?
Well, because otherwise it's rather lurid, I think.
Lurid is good.
Rather bodice ripper.
Say love is vain, baby, love is cruel. Yeah, I was going down, going back to love school. Well,
when you live on 23rd Street, you live on the gritty front line, and I can promise you that there's nothing particularly gentrified or prettified or safe about living on 23rd Street in Chelsea.
Nevertheless, what longer-term residents here are saying is that they're being kicked out of the neighbourhood, or they're being forced to move because rents are just soaring.
And that's a universal problem within Manhattan, full stop. And it's really hard to know how to answer that because they're absolutely right. I mean, the level of affordable housing is, virtually non-existent in a lot of neighbourhoods.
It's been a good run, but we're on the tail end of the comet here. And in all probability, this is the last generation of Bohemians who will be able to call the Chelsea their home.
Who knows what they'll do? The Plaza Hotel is now a condominium or whatever it is. Apartments are $25 billion.
What would you do if they did something like that?
Well, I haven't the faintest idea. I have no idea where I would go.